taxi checklist, hydraulic electrical pump, auto, ECAS, blank ice protection, auto, flaps.
And with that, we begin our taxi roll towards runway 32 at Buffalo Niagara International Airport. Here we'll just get our flaps down to be ready for takeoff in time.
18, thrust rating, alternate takeoff 1, end of checklist.
And we'll turn on some nice elevator music so our passengers are even more bored.
Gaia 8902 at Alpha 8.
Gaia 8902, ground, taxi to the ramp.
Taxi to the ramp. Roger, Gaia 8902.
Taxiing past the United Airlines gate area, you can see a nice Airbus 320 and a Canadair regional jet here on the ramp. And as we make this turn here, we're advised to switch to tower frequency to prepare for takeoff.
US Air 190, contact 120.5.
That means that we're now quite close to the threshold of the runway.
Tower on 120.5 US Air 2491. Tower US Air 2491, ready for departure. Runway
There's a
32.
nice Northwest Airlines Dash 8 making
Air
its landing as we get closer to the runway. And as we pull up to the runway here, we stop at the holding point and wait for further instructions. These instructions do take a while because, as you can see, there's other airplanes landing and we have to wait for them to come through before we can take off. Here we have a JetBlue Airbus 320 making its landing. As we continue to hold, a Boeing 737 from US Airways also makes its landing. Here he is pulling off the runway, and there is the JetBlue airplane taxiing off towards the terminal. And we continue to wait here. It's actually been a few minutes now, but airplanes are still landing and we're still holding short.
US Air 58, exit runway 18. US Air 58, contact ground on 121.9.
Soon, however, our luck changes as a small Cessna airplane gets turned around just before making its final approach. They're told to go around, I'm not sure why, but
Going around, Cessna 5 Victor Oscar.
that gives us an opportunity to take off.
US Air 2491, tower, runway 32, taxi in position and hold.
With that, we're given permission to roll onto the runway.
Taxi into position and hold. Runway
Before
32,
takeoff
Roger,
checklist.
US
Exterior
Air
lights.
2491.
On. Transponder. 1 TARA. Flight controls. Checked. Radar. Standby.
Takeoff configuration.
Checked. End of checklist.
So we turn on our flashing strobe lights, our bright landing lights, and our radio transponder to make sure that all the aircraft around us know that we're there and we're about to take off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has advised that we are now cleared for takeoff.
And we roll out onto the runway, stopping in preparation for takeoff.
US Air 2491, wind 310 at 8, runway 32, cleared for takeoff.
Now all that's left to do is to push up the throttles to takeoff power.
Clear for takeoff.
ATTCS armed.
2491.
As we roll down the runway, the co-pilot calls out speeds,
V1, rotate, V2,
and pitch up and get airborne.
Cessna 904
Positive
Tango,
rate.
left subtraffic, runway.
After takeoff, checklist. Landing gear.
Now we need to get our gear and flaps up and adjust the engine settings accordingly.
Gear up.
Up, flaps.
US Air 2491, contact port.
And as we settle into a rapid climb, we are handed off to the departure controller, who will keep an eye on us as we leave the airport area.
Air 2491
Up,
is with
thrust
you.
rating.
2002.
Climb. Overhead panel checked. Altimeters set. End of checklist.
US Air 2491, departure. Radar contact. Climb and maintain 15,000.
150, set and check.
As we continue to climb, our systems alert us that there is a bit of icing on the wings.
15,000. US Air 2491.
However, this shouldn't be a major problem as long as we don't stay in it for too long. And now we begin a gentle turn to the right to get on course.
November 109. Approach, wind 2156 is with you at 4,100 with 0. Orbit 2156. Approach, expect vectors to the runway 32. Runway
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now safe to use your portable electronic devices.
At this stage, all the flying is completely manual, the autopilot is not on, and the throttle is always manual because this airplane does not have a automatic throttle control system, although there is a digital system which controls the maximum amount of thrust that you can apply on this airplane. Still, it's a fairly hands-on bird, and climb outs in these aircraft are usually flown completely by hand. It's actually quite a fun plane to fly, and unlike some of the larger aircraft, it's very hands-on, it's very responsive, it reacts to your control inputs very quickly, and it's very easy to make it do what we want to do, so when appropriate, I certainly like flying it by hand.
US Air 2491, contact Cleveland Center
Heading
125.2.
180, set and check.
Cleveland Center on 125.2.
However, most of this flight will be done on autopilot, which we will turn on once we get a little higher.
Orbit 2156.
Among other things, the autopilot tends to be a little bit more precise than the human pilot, and definitely very useful if you want to save fuel, because in combination with the flight management system, the autopilot allows you to plan ahead and to fly precisely what you planned, so that your fuel consumption is always under control. This is very important if you want to make money in the airline business.
26352.
Altimeter check. Emerald Harbor Air 9918, clear of traffic. Navigation.
Recently navigator, Emerald Harbor Air 9918.
Going to 125.875, FedEx 258.
So we're now above the cloud layers in the snow, and the climb is continuing as planned.
US Air 2481, contact Cleveland Center 132.4. See you later.
And now we intercept a direct heading to our planned route, and we turn on the autopilot, which will take us there.
132.4.
Meanwhile, what you're hearing on the radio is the beginning of this long game of being bounced between different area controllers. This is very typical and tends to get rather tiresome when you're flying over busy airspace. However, it's also very important to maintaining the safety of air traffic.
Cleveland Center, Roger, climb and maintain flight level 290.
So we are now clear to climb up to 29,000 feet, getting closer to our planned cruising altitude of 36,000 feet, and in the next part we will be cruising.